Good morning, welcome. Thanks for joining. Let's start with feet hip distance apart. We're going to start with a chest opener. Then I'm thinking myofascial release going to the ends of our stretch. Think about pushing down to the floor and up to the ceiling, but then squeezing a pencil between your shoulder blades. We're going to use the breath here to go a little bit deeper. So press up and down. Take a deep breath in. Hold the breath. Squeeze that pencil between the shoulder blades, press up and down, and as you breathe out, you might go a little bit deeper with your arms a little bit further apart and back. We're going to take two more of those. Try and place your head where you're not straining the neck, so maybe even leaning on this top arm. So press apart. Try to keep a slightly neutral spine, so you're not sticking the bottom out. Deep breath in, hold the breath, press, open the chest. You can put the head wherever it feels, and with the out breath, feeling like a big yawn, that diagonal stretch across the body. Once more, concentrating on opening this diagonal stretch. Shake out the head, let's go. Last time on this side. Deep breath in, press apart. So one shoulder depressed, one's lifting, and then back, and using that exhalation to go a little bit deeper. Well done. Shrug out the head, the arms. We're going across to the other side. So set up, press down and up, diagonal stretch, reaching apart and back. So plant the feet, slight tuck in the tailbone. Deep breath in, stretching wide. Feel that limit and engage the muscles between your shoulder blades. Try and keep your core strong, and with the exhalation, maybe take it a little bit deeper in that stretch wide apart. Twice more. If you get dizzy, just take a quiet moment. Otherwise, nice deep breath, finding that Pilates position in the body, lovely stacking through the body, and then that strength between the shoulder blades, so that we're working an openness across the chest. Try to think about, keep going, like having a peach under your chin. So try to always sticking the chin out, or just finding a nice comfortable place, softness in the neck and stretching out wide. Or on the last breath on this side, you're feeling you're creating space in the shoulder joints, but also maybe you can see how easy it will be to just let the bottom stick out. We're feeling strength in the body, and then shake out. So turning the head side to side, shrugging out the arms. We're going to take a hamstring stretch, but with the setup, we'll take the feet as if there's maybe a foot or two distance between them, so it's quite a narrow stance. Tilt the pelvis, shoulders back and down, and here's the reset position that we'll keep coming to. Now, as we bend, let's say the back leg, if the back leg's your left leg, bend and simultaneously lift that right set of toes. So it's a bend in the back leg and a straightening hamstring stretch in the front leg. Then we press through the feet, roll the shoulders back and down, a nice reset. Neutral position for the hip flexors. So we'll loop this. So we'll lift the arms, long spine, long neck throughout. Remember that peach under your chin, so no dropping the peach. Avoid throwing the head back. So the distance chin to chest stays the same throughout. So we're gently working into the hamstrings. We're not forcing, we're not holding. Nice flowing movement. Let's start to take the arms a little bit further away. So this kind of pendulum movement in the arms, reaching into the fingers as the hips glide back and back up. Two more on this side. Nice deep breath, that tilt in the pelvis at the top. So we're going to the end of the exhalation. We don't have to go to the edge of our stretch. Always lovely and open, that work between the shoulder blades. Last time, and then we'll switch legs. Reaching into the fingers, so fingers one way, your hips the other, and back up. That might have loaded on your quads, so give a shake out to the leg that was at the back. Switching over, so feet, toes pointing forwards, a slight tilt in the pelvis, tall, chin tucks into the neck, so we've got our starting position. Just have a go at bending the back knee and curling the front toes up. Can we still see the toes of the back foot? Because we are loading, it's load bearing in this leg, so we want to protect the knee and back up to standing. When you've got your balance, we can add on the arms. So peeling the toes up as the back knee bends. Lovely and open across the chest. Continuous with the breath, exhalation, standing tall, arms back, tilting the pelvis, chest open wide. Breathing in, finding that flow with the breath. See if you can walk through the foot, so you're peeling the toes, then the ball of the foot, all the way up to the heel, and then reversing, keeping the toes curled up. First of all, the ball of the foot, then the toes. Even getting a little bit of a tricep stretch there as we take the arms back. That peach under the chin, try to avoid squashing it or dropping it. So we keep a nice long line at the back of the neck. 2 more on this side. And then we'll ease out of the hips with a little hula hoop circling of the hips. Always a nice reset. So after your last one, let's give a shake out to that load bearing leg at the back, then legs wide. Let's take 2 circles in each direction. So here, taking those circles as large as you want to, just feeling your way around the hip joint. Other direction, take your time. Fabulous. All right, 1 round of Pilates, roll down and roll up. So standing with your feet hip distance apart, shoulders back and down, you're peeling yourself off a wall, chin to chest, heavy arms, shoulders, find the articulation to the spine. So small movements, just feeling your way down. We've only got 1 set, rolling down, flexing, and then rebuilding the spine. And if you're patient enough, maybe closing your eyes, you'll feel somewhere, probably along the spine, even it might take a little bit of a swaying side to side. You'll probably find some area where you just think, oh, that's nice. And if not, just celebrate how wonderfully mobile your spine is and enjoy the roll down. So we maintain the health of your spine. So any wavering side to side, just to find more release in the spine, pausing in that ragdoll fold, crown of the head to the floor, no forcing, and then pressing the big toes into the floor. Start to engage your glutes, press away and rebuild the spine from the base up. So head stays heavy, arms heavy, building blocks. You're building, you're lengthening vertically that center of gravity until we're up to standing at the top. Roll the shoulders back and down. Have a little shrug. We're coming to a high lunge. So this time the feet wider apart. Start with the feet planted on the floor. Now we're going to bend the back. We're going to bend both knees, but the back heel lifts. Let's keep the knees tracking forwards. A slight tilt in the tailbone. And we're coming to a hip flexor stretch for the leg that's back. When you're ready, the leg that's at the back, lift that arm. And the same as at the beginning, we're stretching wide. Shoulders relax, stretching through the arms. There's that pelvic tilt. And try to picture, we're getting length, space all the way down from your ribs right down to the knee, that bent knee. Stretching wide, a little squeeze between the shoulder blades. And hold and stretch. Another breath before we switch sides. Intensifying the hip flexor stretch by tilting the pelvis more. Just keep thinking about ironing out the gap at the top of the leg. Chin's tucked into the chest. Stretch wide and then slowly switch. High lunge, toes are pointing forward, hips square to the front. Peel the back heel and bend. So as we bend both knees, we get more and more of a tilt in the tailbone to keep the spine long. Now find that straightish line from the back knee all the way up to the ribs. So the pelvis is tilting, the corresponding arm to that back leg lifts, your other arm down to the floor, and we're taking that oppositional stretch and breathing length and space into that side of the body. Enjoy slow, controlled breath and how we can really maximize on the stretches. We'll move on to sun salutations after this. So one more stretch with the legs in an extended rotated position, working with the arms, and then we'll be ready. Breathing deeply, let's press the hand up, one hand down, let's stretch across the body, the tilt in the tailbone. Squeeze the glutes, take the knees as far down as you feel you need to get a real release in the front of the thigh, and then release, you've done it. So shake out the legs. We're taking a goddess stance to roll out the shoulders and just take a little bit more opening and strength for the upper chest for those postural muscles. So legs wide. Let's first of all bend the knees and make sure we've not overturned out the feet. So knees tracking over the toes. All right, one for the arms here. Little fingers together. Stretch the fingertips up to the ceiling as we stand tall. Deep breath in. And as we start to bend the knees, we're drawing up with the arms all the way out to cactus arms, following through down to W arms. Little fingers come together, elbows come together, the same way we do in the Garudasana, the eagle, with the elbows lifting as high up, so you're working between the shoulder blades, into a cactus. So we're rolling out the shoulders, nice, easy pace, working with the breath. Try to squeeze the glutes and come to that neutral spine position when we stand tall. The breath out, almost releasing the opening across the chest, shoulders back and down without sticking the bottom out. I'll do the same but to the side. So we keep that long line in the spine. Tilt in the pelvis. Let's have two more. Get the legs nicely warm for your sun salutations. Last one. As high as you can with those elbows. So shoulders are back and down here, elbows into the waist. Relax the arms, toe heel the feet in. Shake out the legs, the arms. We're coming to the front of your mat, to your space. And let's begin. I'll maybe change the camera as we start, see how we get on. So think about knee lunge, crescent and hamstring stretch, because we've already worked up those muscles, so we should hopefully be able to flow between those two. So feet hip distance apart, shoulders back and down, long spine, fleshy peach. Breathe in and open the arms wide, stretch to the ceiling. Breathe out, pressing the air down, flat back, all the way into your fold, bow the head. Take a halfway lift, 90-degree angle between the legs and the chest. Knee lunge, hands down, step the right foot back, lower the knee, left foot back, lower the knee. We're tucking the toes and lifting the hips to a down dog. And we pedal through from one foot to the other. So thinking ahead, when we step the right foot forward, we'll toggle between a crescent shape and a hamstring stretch. Let's go for 5 rounds. So when you're ready, soften the knees. You can lower both knees. Let's step the right foot forwards. And we're lifting the arms in parallel. Breathe in and sink the hips forwards and down and reach. And then breathe out, lower the arms. Remember, we peel the toes, front toes up, and come to that hamstring stretch. So give me a few more rounds with your breath as I tilt the camera down so you can actually see me. So everyone's right knees at the front. We breathe into the crescent shape. And we breathe out to the hamstring stretch. So from our warm-up exercises, the hip flexors should be nicely juicy and stretched and ready. One more on this side, then we'll complete this sun salutation, step into the front. And repeat, leading with the left foot. So when you're ready, hands framing that front foot, tuck your toes under at the back and step to the front. Arms open wide, stand tall, stretch overhead, breathe until the hands meet and breathe out to heart center, left side. Breathe in and reach, breathe out to fold. Breathe in halfway, lift. Breathe out, step the left foot back, then the right. Tuck the toes, lift the hips to down dog. Pedal it through. Yoga for the toes. Try not to skimp over this. Really pressing down through the foot to get that full movement, as many muscles as possible in the feet. Thinking ahead, we'll be stepping the left foot forwards to that knee lunge, and we'll take the crescent and hamstring stretch. So we'll bend both knees, crouching low, step the left foot forward to lower the back. Knee, untuck, tuck, and then breathe in and stretch. So feeling a stretch along the front of that right leg, the front of the body, all the way up into the fingertips, all your mobilization exercises, warm-ups, leading to lots of length here. The breath out, we fold with a peachy, nice gap between the chin and the chest, which stays the same throughout. So whether I'm coming up into the crescent lunge, just keeping a nice long line at the back of the neck, the gaze lowers at the same rate as the upper body. Arms can lift behind you as you take that hamstring stretch. So we're getting that full range of mobility in the arms, your pace. You can further challenge your balance by closing the eyes. Last one, and then we're stepping to the front. Try to relax the shoulders down. Last hamstring stretch, shoulders release, arms reaching behind you. And then bend your front knee, hands to the floor, tuck those toes under at the back and step to the front. Straighten up the legs, the spine, breathe in, reach overhead, hands meet, and return to heart center. Great. The next one isn't a sun salutation, but we're taking a chair with a stretch into the lats. Don't worry, you can't see my head. I've not lost it entirely. Feet hip distance apart. Let's put the hands on the hips. Bend at the knees. Can we still see the toes? Lengthen through the tailbone. Shoulders back and down. Peach. Nice long line in the back of the neck. Now, by sinking this right hip back a little bit and reaching into the right arm, we're going to stretch the side of the body. So, if you're feeling a little bit stronger here, you'll sink a little bit lower into the heels. Too much, you can even keep your hands on the hips so the right hip hinges back, and think about stretching and drawing a curve to release and lengthen through the right side of the body, right from the hip. So find a level. We're here for 3 breaths. If you find it helpful, have a go at that. Breath in, pause, stretch, and softening and maybe deepening a little bit with that exhalation. You can use your spare left hand to support at the hip, or work harder, a bit more of a challenge by lifting that back arm. Well done. Last little stretch so the hips are swiveled round, and then roll up through the spine. Just have a little shrug out and we're over to the other side. You need to kick back to release out any lactic acid, any strain in the quads, that's fine. So I sit back into the heels, knees tracking over the toes, find the length in the tailbone, shoulders back and down, pencil between the shoulder blades, little peach here, all the elements drawn together. Either hand on the hip or lifting. Now adjust that, a little swivel in the hips in opposite direction so that we're stretching the left side of the body. Try to sink into that hip and find that swivel so that we're stretching from this left bottom cheek right up into the fingers. You can still see the toes, stretching the whole side of the body. Any little adjustments like standing a little bit taller, hand on the hip, you find what works for you. Breathing into the side of the body. Breathing deeply, another breath. We're coming down to the mat after this, so you're nearly there. And slowly release, legs wide, have a little sway, swing around the spine. And then we'll join sitting. All right, tilt down a little bit more. Okay, so if we come down to the mat, sitting on the bottom, legs out in front of us, hip distance apart. Now, if we think about a rainbow with the legs, let's have a start up with the knees stacked over to the left. My left hand on the floor, right hand on top of the left. Now, you might have to watch for the first, but it's as if your gaze is going to initiate movement in the arm. So, my gaze is on that top right hand. Draw a rainbow with the right hand all the way up and over till it finds the floor. Flip the knees to the right, and then take your gaze back to find left hand. Draw a rainbow, and place the hand on top of the right. Back the way we came. So a rainbow with the left, place, look back, find your right hand, knees flip, and rainbow. Now, that's the structure, but now you can start to find a little bit of a flow to it. We're going from one bottom cheek to the other. We don't have to be too prescriptive about the position of the knees. Maybe the hands don't stack. If you can, breathe in wide with the arms. Breathe out, the other hand lowers. Breathe in the top hand, and breathe out the lower. So finding a flow with the breath if you can, if that's just blowing your mind. I don't mind as long as you breathe. So we're opening the chest here, working with that mobilisation through the hips, the shoulders, working with breath. That massage of rolling from one bottom cheek to the other. I'm shifting forward on my mat. So try to, in between each end point, feel that little squeeze between the shoulder blades. The brains slowly start to weave in all the stretches and preparation we've done up to this point. There's a mountain of weight bearing on the hand on the floor, covering lots of elements in one nice flow. Last time, you take that twist as far as you want for this last one, maybe even threading through. And then lifting, last side. Fabulous. Great, next one, we're taking like a mermaid twist. We're going to find length in the front of this thigh. Now, if we've got this, if you're mirroring me, this right hip, we'll lift the right hip, you might start to get a stretch from the quads into the hip flexors. Before we were just looking at the hip flexors mainly. But all that work is in that chair position, we've been using our quads. If you're not getting anything there, you may need to find more length by leaning back onto the forearms, and then you're lifting the ribs away from the pelvis. Keep lifting, rolling that hip forwards and breathing into the front of the hip. Enjoy that stretch. Each exhalation, maybe finding a little bit more length. You can use your hands, almost coax a little bit of a lift in the ribs as the knee points down. Breathe into the hip. We've got one more exercise. Release on this side before we do this quad stretch on the other side. So when you're ready, come back up and let's all meet and fold over this front knee. So if you're mirroring me, this left knee, turn the chest over the knee, and long spine, long neck, place the hands forwards. We're looking for a bit of release in the hip And you know, again, if you're not feeling much of a stretch here, that's just great, and enjoy that you've got really nice, juicy, supple quality to those muscles. If it's feeling tight, don't overload. Maybe just come onto the hands, maybe a little bit of rocking. You can stack the hands, fists, or walk the hands all the way forwards. We're here for 2 more breaths, where we're looking for softness. Where are you clenching? Where can you release and let go? Melt down. Can you give a bit of heaviness to the skeleton? Really surrendering to the mat. On the next breath out, head last to come up, place the hands back, slowly rebuild the spine, up to sitting. We're going over to the other side. So, first off, we've got the stretch for the quads. So the foot can rest on the thigh. We're on the other side. We now lift and twist the hip forwards, and we're looking for a stretch in the quads. If that's not there, lower onto the forearm, the opposite forearm, and find length. You can use your hand to help coax the hip up to the ceiling. You can press the knee into this front foot to help give you a little bit of leverage. And then it's a sense of lengthening, lifting the ribs out of the pelvis, and almost drawing the pelvis out of the top of that thigh bone, finding more space. You can let the head dangle, concentrate on that pelvic tilt and twist, breathing into the hip. Hopefully you're getting a little bit of a quad stretch here. Give it a good squeeze if it's resisting. And last of all, we come and fold over this front knee. Come into a full pigeon if that's more satisfying to you. But even passively stretching, folding over, you will get benefits. And we want to close the eyes just for a moment and try to get back to that point of stillness in the body and the mind, where we can give in to the heaviness, the weight of the body, the upper body weight over the leg, and start to release anywhere where we're holding tension in the body. Start to lengthen that exhalation. Find softening with the out breath. 2 more breaths on this side, and then we've got a quick leg slide and ab scoop to finish. Head last to come up. Place the hands back, rebuild the spine. We're onto our backs. The very last thing. You've only got a couple of moments. Arms by the side of the body, tilt the pelvis so the pubic bone comes up to the ribs. Keep that pulling in the core, and we'll extend, gliding along the right leg. Further scoop in the abs, tilt the pelvis, and lift the leg. Bend and return. Other side. We keep the pelvic tilt, extend. Hips stay level, scoop in the abs, knees hollow out, draw your tummy in and return. We go side to side. Want more of a challenge? We float both legs off. So they're just skimming the floor, this static leg, the foot, is a couple of centimeters from the floor. So we're having to keep that loading on the core throughout. If that means you're arching the spine, please put the foot on the floor. We're just giving you options to find a challenge level, because we don't have time for many repetitions. So really go to your extreme. As you go to that leg extension, feel the length right down to the toes. Scoop in the abs, try and imprint the lower spine, and then return. Last couple of rounds. So we maintain the same shallow curves of the spine throughout. You should be able to place a cup of tea on your tummy button and you wouldn't spill any. That's switching on of the stabilizing muscles of the core. Chin's tucked into the chest. If I run my finger down the back of your neck, would there be any creases? Chin into the chest. Nice long back of the neck. So we can partly use almost like this, we're pulling the static leg in a little bit to give us that strength to keep the core in. So there's tension through the whole body to give us that control. But no clenching in the jaw. Finish the round you're on, have a little rock on the spine, then a full body yummy stretch where you can arch the spine here. Let the ribs flare, spread the fingers and the toes. And hopefully, let's set you up for the day.